Hi folks, Rebecca Thomaston here from the Family Showdown. Welcome to our channel. Today I wanted to tell you about my top 10 games of all time as of January 2016 anyway. And the reason I wanted to go ahead and give you a list of those tonight was to show you, besides showing you what my favorites are, but to help you pick some games out that you might not have tried yet or might not have heard about, get some more information about those games. One of the reasons that we started doing reviews was because we liked to check out games and hear about them before we buy them. And so if you go on to Board Game Geek and see my games, you'll notice that most of the games that we own are rated pretty high in my opinion because we didn't go out and spend money on games we didn't like. So I hope that this video is very useful to you, and let's get started. My number 10, I might get some grief for, because you're going to say, why on earth is Fauna one of your favorite 10 games of all time? And honestly, if you're not in my top 5, it probably vacillates daily on what my favorites are because I really like all of these games. But this one is in my number 10 spot right now because it is just a blast to play. The components and the board are absolutely beautiful. As you can see even from the cover, the artwork is really pretty. And the cards are really easy to see. There's details on them. They're really beautiful. And not only that, but every time we play it, we have a really good time with it. Anybody can play at any age. Our 4-year-old even plays it a little bit. She obviously doesn't know a lot about the animals, but the whole object of the game is to make guesses on where these animals live or which one is the biggest. And you can kind of place bets on that, and that's the object of the game, is to try to win the most of those options. And so every time we play it, we have a lot of fun with the entire family. I highly recommend this game if you're wanting a game where you are playing and learning. I learn something every time we play this game too. So that is my number 10, Fauna. And then my number 9 is Elysium. And I used to be a Latin teacher, so of course the theme about the Greek gods and goddesses hit a soft spot for me. I really enjoyed this game. And it is a card drafting game, and you are picking different families and the gods and goddesses, and you're trying to collect sets and get different bonus points for that. And I really enjoy that aspect of the game anyway. It's one of my favorite mechanisms for the game. And one of the other things I enjoy is the pillar mechanism they have for this, where you choose, depending on your color, some of the different options and different cards and variety, which you can go see reviews about that in detail. I really like the art, and I think the theme is actually really strong in this game because the different families of the gods have different abilities that is more akin to each of the gods or goddesses. So I highly recommend my number 9, Elysium. My number 8 doesn't really have a formal box right now. It is Star Realms. As you can see, it is highly portable. One of my other favorite themes, if you hadn't guessed already, is that I really like space themes. And this game, right now we have it in just a little generic card box. But as you can see, I have several expansions already, and I have them stored in here. And this game is great. I can throw it in my purse. I'm notorious for taking this to the coffee shop with me and throwing down with my friends. And it's really easy to learn, really easy to play. And if you are new to playing this, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are at a disadvantage to play, because it is card drafting again, deck building. So you're building your deck and selecting cards and then immediately attacking your opponent. So you have just as good a chance as a veteran of making some good, good hits against your opponent in this. So my number 8 is Star Realms. My number 7 is Lords of Waterdeep. It's an older game and a easier worker placement game. Really good one to actually learn worker placement mechanism from, in my opinion. It's got a fantasy theme, not exactly a strong theme, but what I enjoy about the game is that it's got a lot of variety to it and options for your workers when you go to place them. So you're not always necessarily blocked out and out of options, so you have a lot of different things that you can do. Another thing that I enjoy is that the intrigue cards in particular They have a lot of variety, and they add some little sneaky things and gotcha elements to the game against your opponents. And besides the satisfaction of completing missions and doing different things, I really just enjoy experimenting and trying what works better and what's more efficient. This has an expansion to it, The Scoundrels of Skullport, which is probably one of my favorite expansions, period, because it changes how the game plays. I highly recommend buying both of them, because in this game, you can purchase things only if you have the tokens for it. Now, in Scoundrels of Skullport, you can go and add a little corruption or negative points to yourself in order to go get some of these components so that you can complete missions and other things more quickly. So it changes the game up, it makes it a little more exciting. I really enjoy it. So there you go. My number 7, Lords of Waterdeep. My number 6 is Dominion. One of my favorite things is deck building. So of course this hit really high on the list. And this is the quintessential deck builder, basically, for if you're a board gamer. Now this is an older game. You can still find it, and there are a ton of different expansions out there. Some are good, some not so good. I haven't tried the new, what's the new one, Prosperity? Is it Prosperity? Adventures? Okay, I'm not sure. I have Adventures. I've tried it and I love it. So I would recommend it if you wanted to if you enjoyed getting expansions to games. Intrigue was okay. We didn't really like Alchemy. That's the other one we have. I don't recommend that one. But the base game is great enough. When you are learning to play a deck building game, one of the things that's most tedious about that is organizing the cards. Dominion got this right. This is what comes in the box, and it's got storage with labeling. In the other versions, they have labels on the side as well for all your cards. So you just put them in alpha order and you can whip them out and play a game really quickly. I really enjoy this game. Again, it's another one that's really easy to play. The theme's a bit weak. Okay, there's no theme really. It's mostly all about the actions of the cards and going and trying different things and doing things. Some people have complained that there are players that just simply go for the gold to win the game. But don't play with them. Don't play with people like that. There's so many different aspects to the game and different actions that you can try that make this a really fun game. So I would highly recommend playing Dominion. Okay, and these are my top 5, and these, like I said, they are solidly my top 5. They don't change from day to day, really. I absolutely adore these games, and if you ever asked, I would play them in a heartbeat. This is Castles of Mad King Ludwig, is my number 5. It is a auction tile placement game, and I love the aspect of it. You're building up a castle based on the rooms that you auction, and you go to the auction and purchase different rooms, and you place out your castle, so you're attaching them. And they have bonuses for different things. The entertainment room maybe gets a negative bonus for being attached to a garden or something like that. So you want to try to place them where you get the most bonus points and different benefits for that. And the physical appearance of the game itself is really great, and I love the components to it. The tile pieces here. The tiles are really sturdy and thick, and they're really great. And on the back they've got the levels that they are, so when you flip them and you can see, like this one, hopefully the glare's not too bad, the stables, and they've got different pieces. They're all really wonky little shapes, and you have to try to put them all together. The player boards also are thick, so it's a sturdy game. It's really fun. There's a ton of variety. I really enjoy this game. It's different every time you play it because the bonuses that you can get at the end of the game are different because you draw them randomly. And I recommend Castles of Mad King Ludwig. My number 4 is quite the beast. It is Xia, Legends of a Drift System. And of course, why this one is my number 4, again, what a shock. It's a space theme. And the space theme in this one is strong, it's great. What you're doing is you're going out and exploring space and trying to accomplish missions and gain victory points and everything like that. But what's great about this is there's so many different options. You can go and decide to be a bandit and go raid other ships Or you can take the honest route and become an honest merchant and go about and pick up goods and go sell them at other planets and make points. The components are wonderful. They've got all these little gems. You got your engine parts to log, and here's the engine. These are the missiles, the components of the ship. All of the cardboard's really thick, as you can see, very thick. The ships themselves, they're great too. Here's the Cold Phoenix, and on the back they have information about them and even a backstory and a victory story. So they really add a lot to the game. The only thing about the game that would probably be a complaint would be if you are absolutely abysmally horrible at dice rolling, this is probably not your game. Oh yes, the chips too. Yeah, the components. Let me find a ship and stuff. Oh, yeah. I didn't even show you the best part of the components here. But if you're really horrible at dice rolling, I would not recommend this game. But even so, because I have my days where I'm a horrible dice roller, I love this game. This is probably one of my favorite parts right here, and I almost forgot to show you them. This is the money. You can hear it. It's heavy duty. They're metallic. I love them. The detail on them, they're beautiful. And the little ships themselves, besides the ship cards and the story and the backstory, hopefully I can see it through there. You've got these little 3D model ships. They're painted. They sit on their own little plastic stand, and so you'll be able to watch your ship that you built go around and fly through the different parts of space. So really beautiful game. Love to play it. It does take a bit of time to play. It's a longer game, but highly worth it. It's worth the 1 to 3 hours that it says it is. I would play it any day. Xia Legends of a Drift System. My number 3 is one of my other favorite fandoms, and that is War of the Ring. This is from, of course, The Lord of the Rings by Tolkien. And I absolutely love this game. This is a heavy game, and 2-player at that. I believe it's 2 to 4 players, but basically a 2-player game. And it is absolutely amazing. If you are a fan of Tolkien, this is as close as you can get to translating the book into a board game. As you can see, as I'm going to pull this out here, the board is huge. It's beautifully well made map, but it comes in 2 pieces and basically takes up our table. It's pretty huge. So there is that. It's quite the beast. And then, oh, the components are gorgeous. I absolutely love this. You're going to play, there's 2 factions, of course. Well, there's many factions, but the bad guy plays red pieces. You're going to play the orcs and Saruman and Sauron's minions and all of them. And then you have the good guys, the Fellowship and the elves and the dwarves. So if you can see, the components are just absolutely gorgeous. This is one of the 9. I mean, just they're beautiful. And of course, the cool thing about this game too is you get to play Gandalf. You get to play Legolas. You get to play Gimli. You've got the Return of the King, Aragorn. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Stunningly gorgeous. The cards for this game, they're huge. The symbols on it are beautiful. The story, it's deep, it's rich. It's The Lord of the Rings. You can't get much better than that. The dice are probably some of my favorite dice I've ever seen. They've got the little elven rune markings on it and different things and flags, and it's just absolutely stunning. Even the cardboard little pieces for markers and stuff are thick, solidly built. It is worth the money if you are a fan at all of war games, and especially Lord of the Ring. I would highly, highly, highly recommend War of the Ring. It is amazing. And of course, obviously, why it's my number 3 game. So there is War of the Ring. My number 2 game is Viticulture. And yes, I know what you're thinking. You're going to say, ooh, the strategic game of winemaking. Yawn. No. Honestly, the cool thing about this, and yes, we did overlook this several times previously because of that. We're like, how are you going to get excited about winemaking? The theme in this, though, is strong, and it's amazing. You can actually get excited about making wine, believe it or not. This is another game that, again, wows me with the components and the pieces. So your little player boards, you have your farm, your vineyard, and you track your grapes, you grow with them, and then you harvest them, you make wine with them, and then you sell them off. And that's basically the game for victory points, okay? And again, the player board's solid as can be. I love playing this 2-player. I've played a multiplayer. We mostly play it 2-player at home. I would play it any time. The board's beautiful. It's not nearly as big as War of the Ring, and the components are just solid. I love the little workers. They're just little painted wood pieces, but they're really nice. The coins, yeah, they're cardboard, but they're actually pretty solid, so I don't worry about wearing them down. And the cards, the artwork's really pretty. There are a lot of different options in this game. This is a game where, yeah, your opponent's going to know that eventually you're going to want to make wine and block you out. And so, yes, they can block you out. But while you're stuck, there are all these other options and different things to do, and it's seasonally based. So there's, different, in the summer and the fall, you can do different things. There's also, and we don't even have it, there's an expansion for this. If you're really into expansions, everybody raves about how wonderful the expansion is, and most of the people that get it say they won't play the base game without it. So if you're into that too, you can go and explore that. It's just a really beautiful game, very fun to play. Highly recommend Viticulture. Oh, and that's worker placement too, by the way. One of my favorite mechanisms. So if you're into worker placement, definitely get that game. And then last but definitely not least is this monstrosity, which is my number one, Star Trek Fleet Captains. And yes, it's not cheap, and yes, it is a beast, but if you like Star Trek, this is probably the game to get. It is absolutely beautiful. This also has expansions. We only have the base game because we only play this, just the two of us anyway, and we just haven't gotten around to getting the expansion yet. But the one thing I like about this, and actually War of the Ring too, but more in this case, the gameplay is pretty intuitive. So once you learn the basic rules and how everything flows, it's pretty easy to remember the rules the next time you go through. So you're not going to have to go through this every single time. It gets easier. The components are what make this game too, besides the theme. The theme for this is really good, which is why I like it. A lot of the Star Trek games, the theme's kind of slapped on, or the game's really weak. This is neither. Look at the components. I mean, you can't get much cooler than that. It's like, they're wonderful. So each ship's got its own tracker on here for you've got all of the statistics for your ship. So you just turn it and click it as it gets shot up or fixed at a star base. So you have that. And then space are these little tiles. The only thing about these I'm not real crazy about is the hexes have to be aligned exactly the same to stack. They made them strange, so if you try to stack them and don't place them all lined up the same way, they don't stack well. But on each of them, they've got the statistics for the planet or the nebula or whatever you're exploring. And you go, and this is another game where it's very open. You can go and you can decide to be an explorer and just do scientific missions. Or you can go and decide that you are going to destroy the Klingons, or vice versa. The Klingons could come and destroy you. You can do both if you want to, if you think you've got an advantage for that. It depends on what ships you pull at the beginning of the game and your statistics on those ships, and each of those has their own card. So you have cards for that. Keep track of everything. And the other thing that's really fun, of course, are this is the meat of the game, the character cards. You've got different actions that you can do, but you also have different characters. Yes, you are going to find Jean-Luc Picard in here, and James T. Kirk, I think it's General Core, Admiral J.P. Hansen. You're going to see different characters from Star Trek on here, and they each have their own special abilities as well. So that kind of adds some mixture to the game. And you have missions that you accomplish, and that's how you get the different points. And of course, destroying ships gives you points. So again, it makes the attacking another viable option. So it's just kind of reliving some Star Trek episodes on your own. If you want to go and explore space and blow up the bad guy, this is perfect game for you. Again, it runs a little longer too, which is probably why it's one of my favorites, because I don't get to play it all the time. It's like a treat. So I recommend Star Trek Fleet Captains for my number one game. So if you have any other questions or anything, check out the other reviews on our channel at Family Showdown, or you can check out my stats at the Board Game Geek. I'm not on there all the time, but you can always leave me a message. So thanks for stopping by.